Hi, this is Morley and this is the Wire. In this video, we're going to look at how Governor DeSantis of Florida is proposing a new law that would punish rioters, organizers, and financiers. And in my opinion, this is long overdue. You can already hear the left saying, oh, but this is going to impose upon people's rights. Well, what about the rights that the peaceful protests have infringed upon? Let's look at that. What about the business owners whose businesses were burnt down? What about their rights? Don't they matter? Or the stores that were looted, or the rioters say that insurance will pay for it and this is their reparations. How do you deal with these type of people that have that type of self-entitlement mentality? You don't. You impose laws that would incur serious consequences. That's how. For instance, anyone on any type of government benefits should be cut off if they are in any way involved in crimes related to rioting. For more serious acts of sedition, there should be long sentences in order. They just can't go on terrorizing people making a political statement. That just isn't what America is about, and quite frankly, they can leave America if they don't like it. No one's forcing them to stay here. Let's get into this. Governor DeSantis proposes new law introducing harsh punishments for rioters, riot organizers, and their financiers. On Monday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis unveiled new legislation that would strengthen punishments against rioters, looters, and other violent demonstrators. The bill, known as Combating Violence, Disorder, and Looting and Law Enforcement Protection Act, will push for harsh penalties against individuals who are found guilty of rioting and looting, as well as for participating in associated actions. DeSantis hopes the bill will discourage people led astray by Antifa and Black Lives Matter from joining riots. It will be introduced in the Florida legislature in its next session, scheduled to begin after the election. I look at what goes on in Portland, said DeSantis, a Republican at the press conference announcing the legislation. They'll have people, they'll arrest them. They're all scraggly looking Antifa types. They get their mugshot taken, and then they get released. It's like a carousel, and on it goes. That's not going to happen here in Florida. New criminal offenses for rioters and increased penalties for existing offenses. DeSantis' new legislation creates new criminal offenses. It places a third-degree felony charge for people who participate in violent or disorderly assemblies that include at least 7 people, as well as for rioters who block traffic, any kind of unplanned demonstration. If a driver is trying to flee for their safety from a violent mob obstructing the road, they will not be held liable for any injury or death they cause. I'm going to be doing a video specifically on that after this. Stay tuned. A second-degree felony charge will be placed on people who damage or destroy public property, including historical monuments. A first-degree misdemeanor charge will be placed on people who harass or intimidate others in public areas such as restaurants. Furthermore, the bill adds that a new liability under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO, to anybody who is caught organizing or financing a violent assembly. DeSantis' legislation also increases penalties for existing offenses. Hitting a law enforcement officer during a riot will now carry a mandatory minimum jail sentence of 6 months. Offense and sentence enhancements will also be applied for people who throw projectiles at civilians or law enforcement officers, as well as for participating in a riot if you are not a resident of Florida. Finally, the new legislation introduces a series of measures designed to protect citizens and taxpayers, most notably among them, a measure that prevents any state funding being given to local governments that defund their police departments. Anybody who is convicted of participating in a riot will also be unable to receive state benefits and be made ineligible for employment in any local or state government agency. It also makes it easier for victims of rioters and looters to sue local governments for the damages they incurred, which DeSantis hopes will spur on local officials to take on a stronger stance against the mobs. Anybody arrested during a riot and charged with a crime in connection to the violent assembly will also be made ineligible for bond or bail until their first appearance in court. DeSantis wants special session for anti-rioter legislation. Even though the bill has already been filed, the Florida legislature isn't expected to hold a hearing regarding DeSantis legislation until November 17th. As such, the governor has called for them to hold a special session in order to pass the act. DeSantis has even reached out to the Senator Wilton Simpson, the upcoming president of the state Senate. I mentioned to both President Simpson that, look, you guys are going to be here for the organizational session, said DeSantis. It's going to have broad support, and I think certainly from the Republican caucuses in both chambers. You know it may be something you need to act on. DeSantis made known his intention to the legislature to act on his legislation quickly during a state cabinet meeting. Naturally, Democrats are already criticizing the governor for wanting lawmakers to prioritize law and order. Senator Republican Anna Eskamani said that she and other Democratic legislators have been agitating for the legislature to hold a special session, but for other reasons they believe it should take priority. Governor DeSantis doesn't want us to actually address his terrible track record or the terrible track record of the Republican Party in Florida, said Eskamani, so he's using law and order as an election stunt to distract and scare voters. Republican Shrevin Jones, who is seeking a seat in the state Senate, called DeSantis and Florida Republicans hypocrites for trying to expand the powers of the state government. What you have just done is a blatant lie, said Jones. They pick and choose which people and which communities are afforded civil liberties. This cannot stand. Well, I think it's high time that we treat these rioters basically like mobsters. If they're going under the RICO Act, the rioters will effectually be treated like members of organized crime, because quite frankly, that's what it is. Let's just call it what it is and punish accordingly. Thank you very much for coming along to my video. Please like, comment, and share, and subscribe, and God bless you all.